Oh, you just broke up? It sucks. Sucks, bro. Sucks. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, people come in here and they talk about bad about their spouse, or they talk bad about the partner of all the stuff that goes on. But internally, the only reason you're talking bad about it because you're in so much pain after a breakup. It is so unbearable. Like, I'd rather feel physical pain, like if I had to break my arm, as opposed to the pain that I had to deal with my breakup. But in hindsight, looking back at it now, I wouldn't trade it. And I'll explain why later on as to why I wouldn't trade it. But during that turmoil, during the time of the breakup, all I wanted to do was hurt myself. And I don't mean like kill, like that word. I mean in the sense of like cutting myself so I wouldn't feel that internal pain, that emotional pain. That's what I'm referring to. That emotional pain really gets to you because it's hard to focus on anything when you're actually going through that pain, right? Like you can't even focus right. All you want to do is talk about it. It's not even through therapy. I mean with friends. Your friends hear the story. This is why she broke up. I'm trying to get better at it. You're going through these wave of emotions of one day you're feeling really good about yourself, about the decision you made or the decision that happened, or you're coming to terms with it. And the next day it's like a complete opposite. You're like crying for like, oh my God, I can't believe she left me. She doesn't want to text me. It is so it is catastrophic to watch. If someone had a camera to record you the whole time, they'd probably think you're crazy because you're emotionally just like a roller coaster during that time. And there seems to be nothing you can fix to heal that, right? Because you're just out of answers and you're frustrated. And why doesn't they want to come back? Why don't they accept me for apologizing? Why don't they accept me for it always worked out before? I used to apologize several times before it'll work out again, right? Why isn't it working out this time? I'm done. Like I'm pleading with you. And the messed up part is the more you plead, the more you beg, especially for a guy or a girl, the more they push away. Tell me they don't push away even more after a breakup. They don't even want to talk. They like block you and they're like, you look, I even had my other spouse tell me, you look disgusting. You look like a shell of yourself. And I want to let you know, like, I had a relationship with 8 years with this woman. You know, it was always rocky. There was never a consistency. And she's such a beautiful soul herself. You know, there's human beings. We kind of go into this relationship with no manual. There's nothing, most of us go in without a guidance of how it is to be a responsible boyfriend or girlfriend or a responsible partner relationship. And when I mean responsible is like how to care for them, how to have conversations when they're tough, how to sit down and without any substances, whether alcohol, weed, any type of drug, to enhance this relationship of maybe shrooms, maybe this will help us communicate better. It's like we don't really learn how to be comfortable in our own skin, let alone in a relationship, you know, before we get into one. And with my spouse, we fell in love in bad to begin with in a bad way. I was cheating on my ex to be with this partner, and because she got pregnant, essentially, I decided to stick with the you want to call it side chick. I stuck with the side chick, and it was just a rocky relationship down the road. And we always had issues with communication. That's another big thing. We don't know how to communicate our feelings and communicate with ourselves without having the knowledge of what to say or how to say it, or it became aggravating. And then sometimes we get in like spits and spouts, and we get angry with each other, and we wouldn't even discuss of how to heal from that. It was like we went to bed the next day. It was like nothing. It was like, or I woke up still upset the next few days, and I didn't talk to her for 2 to 3 days. And that was it, as long as you forgot about it. And that's no way to deal with the relationship because you're not talking about it. You're not figuring out how you can come to terms with what just happened. Because, or sometimes you be in these fiery relationships and then you would have makeup sex to heal from that. There was never a conversation of what the hell just happened. How do we get better from that, you know? And I'm sorry a little bit for shouting, but it's just, I'm looking outside, looking in, of all the stuff that I went through, and I'm just glad I went through. I'm just glad I went through the breakup. I really am. I'm glad I went through adversity to be able to find myself within the last couple weeks of finding out why it is that we broke up, why it is that we didn't pan out, and why it is that I needed this for myself, for my own healing. Like I needed to heal from it, right? Because essentially you need that time alone to reflect, but you also need that time alone to understand yourself, understand why it is you keep jumping from relationship to relationship, especially me, you know? And anyways, so having the kid right along the way didn't help me either, because I said, I don't want to be a failed parent. I didn't want to end up like my parents who failed and didn't work out in relationship. And I saw what that did to my family. I saw that what it did to my brother and sister. You know, I was 15, 16 years old at the time. So I needed my parents the most, but my brother who was 12 years old, my sister who was just turned 4 or 5, something like that, also needed my parents. So I saw the effects of what that did to our entire family. And I said, no, that's not going to happen to me. I got to fight for her. But why am I fighting for her? And the truth of the matter is, when I started looking at reflection, is I was just selfish. I didn't want her fucking another guy. That's all it was. I didn't want her. The thought of her fucking another guy drove me nuts. And so I wanted to control that. Even though she was already fucking another guy, in my head I said, I don't want to see that. There's no way. I gotta be the only one that's fucking her. Ain't nobody out there. I don't care who it is. No, it's the dominant feeling. It was like egotistic. It was like my ego was hurt. My self-esteem was hurt. And because of that, it was transpiring in me trying to control her life. It's crazy to think that I'm okay with it now. And it's not because I'm a woodsy man and I'm already with someone else. I'm actually with no one else. I'm happy being alone. I'm understanding that it wasn't real love that I was giving to her. It was control. I wanted to control her life. And what right do I have to control her life? What right do I have to be able to say, you can't fuck around with anybody else because we're single and you don't want to be with me because you have a boyfriend that you want to work things out. We have a daughter together. That's the kicker is we have a daughter together. We got to work it out. And that's a damn shame when you're using your daughter to keep a relationship together. That's a damn shame when you know it's all false. That whole relationship is all fake. And when you start to realize that and internalize that, you ask yourself, well, was it even really a healthy relationship? And it wasn't. You know, we always bickered. I had this thing where I used to get mad, and I never hit her, but I used to not talk to her and let her know that I was mad for the next 2 to 3 days. And what helped me is along the way, this me personally, is reading the Bible, right? It's Ephesians 4:26 through 27. I'm going to share something with you. It says, be angry, but do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger, right? Don't let the sun go down on your anger. Meaning, if you got issues with your spouse and you're letting the sun go down, handle it. Talk it out. Talk whatever it is the issue was. Figure it out what the solution was, or at least talk it out so you both have a better understanding of why it is that I'm angry and why it is that she's angry, so we come to terms with that. And give no opportunity to the devil, right? Do not let the sun go down and give no opportunity to the devil. And I gave the opportunity to the devil to come into our life, to come into our relationship, because I never learned how to deal with my anger with her. I never learned how to talk it out. I never learned how to have a communication with her, right? Too many times in relationships, we don't have the time to communicate with each other because, number one, nowadays, most of us pick up our phone. We're on the living room next to our spouse, right? Which happened in my relationship a lot. And I'm talking firsthand in my relationship. And we go an hour, 2 hours without even talking to each other. We play a movie that we were supposed to call movie night, but we're both on our phones, scrolling away. And that is not a sign of a mature and healthy relationship in my mind, because it showed me that we never had these connection. It was always, we were so next to each other, but yet so distant from each other, you know, and all this stuff that I realized in hindsight, looking back in, that I don't want that in my next relationship. I don't want to be just a standby in a relationship. I don't want to go to dinner with her and we're both on our phones while we're sitting next to each other. So these rules that I want to place in my next relationship, you need rules in a relationship. You need respect, mutual respect for one another, right? And this is something I'm learning along the way as I'm growing up in my own life and growing up in my own relationship with my folks, even with my friends. I want to be able to engage with friendly conversation with my friends without them being on their phone while I'm having a real conversation with them, because I want them to better understand me as a person and me understand them, what they're coming from, what their struggles are. Am I really paying attention, or do I want to give out the best advice to them, right? As soon as they're giving me their information, do I want to spit out information to them to let them know this is how you deal with their issues? That's not really listening to them. This listening to them is sitting down and taking an observation and going, yeah, that's hard, and actually observing what it is that they're saying. I'm going through this, and sometimes they just want to hear you out. Sometimes people want to hear out each other, and that's just growth, right? So the turmoil you're going through, the heartbreaks you're going through, I guarantee you it's not fun. Obviously, it's hurtful, and I just wanted just to physically hurt myself as opposed to dealing with that emotional pain, because that emotional pain took a lot out of me. I would cry, I would feel hurt, and I wanted to call her, and I'd call her like 40 times, and she wasn't answering. I'd be like, "You're already fucking this other guy, aren't you?" It was like psychotic, It was like the thought of her with another man just drove me insane, bro. It literally just fucking drove me. I would drive over to her house to make sure she was at her house. That's how psychotic it got. Because I wasn't comfortable. I was so insecure about myself that I wanted to make sure no one else touched her, even though she was already fucking another guy. That's crazy to me looking back, because it just shows how uncomfortable I was with under my own skin. It showed how insecure I was as a man. How did I get to that point? Then you start asking, how the fuck how did I get to that point? Well, number one, you stopped being a real leader at the household. You stopped being a man. You stopped taking care of her. You stopped having real conversations with your partner. You stop putting God first in everything. And I mean that sincerely. Putting God first in everything really made me understand the value of what it is of myself. He died for my sins. He died for all of our sins. He sacrificed everything. God sacrificed his own one and only son for us. And yet he still loves us, right? He still loves me even though I was a bad boyfriend, right? I was a horrible a son, right? I'm a horrible person, like in general, right? Like just horrible all around. Just looking back, I'm like, it didn't start off with one mistake, bro. This was a pile of shit of mistakes that I look back and I'm just like, fuck, how did I get here? It's because I got lazy. I allowed life and the world and everyone else to make my decisions in my own life. I allowed everyone else to make these decisions for me. I did, bro. It's like, why did I get to that fucking point? It's because I had no direction, no discipline, no character, none of those things. And it brought me to this. It brought me to my knees to ask God for forgiveness, to ask God to let him know, like, I'm willing to do anything I can to just help me heal from my wounds. And he has. I asked him greatly. I asked him for strength. I asked him for joy. I asked him for love. I asked him for healing. I asked and he supplied. This is why I'm here to let you know, like, you don't want to find God? Fine. But to me, I needed something greater than myself. I needed something greater than the therapist. I needed something greater than drugs to heal the wounds that were demolishing my heart, that were literally eroding my mind to think that I was less than life, where I knew this was going to head out to a very ugly place. A codependent place. Maybe on drugs, maybe with women, maybe with a lot of things, but not dealing with the root of the issue, which is I never learned to love myself and care for myself the way I cared for others. I was putting too much energy in others and not enough on me. Actually, not at all on me. The way I found resolution of self-love was giving my love to others. That way it made me feel good about myself. But what good does it do with myself when someone would tell me, hey, are you going to be here at this time? Yeah, I'll be there. And I never showed up. I kept lying to myself. I kept telling myself I was going to do this job that I put myself to. I was going to show up to this meeting that I knew I wasn't going to show up. I just kept lying and lying and lying. The worst relationship I had with myself, and it cost me everything, bro. Everything. my relationship, my daughter, all of that is cut in half. All of that, my relationship with my spouse completely annihilated because I never learned to trust or love myself. Learn to love yourself. If you got in a breakup, learn to love yourself. Go back to the drawing board. Love yourself. Take care of yourself. Nurture yourself. Understand yourself. We're only here in this world for a very limited space, bro. A very, very small, small speck of space. Can you imagine how many distractions you have on your phone and your friends and going out and concerts and games and watching sports games and never have the time to listen to who you are? Never have the time to pick up a freaking book and read. Never have the time to shut off the music and just pray. Just pray to the God. Just pray to God and let Him know how you feel. Ask Him for the things that you really want out of life every single day. That's what I do. I don't mess around with that. That's very important for my life. Man, this heartbreak you have, learn to be in love with it. Learn to know that this is going to be the best thing that's ever happened to you. If you open your heart and embrace the pain and understand that this is only going to make you better, realistically just make you a better person, maybe it was time for you to go through this breakup. Maybe it was time for you to grow up. Maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the time to realize that this was the very moment, this is the very thing you needed to grow the fuck up, period. Just grow up, bro. Just leave all that shit behind you and just fucking go. Go into that. Live a better life from it. I know I'm going on a tangent, but I want you to understand that this breakup was needed. I know it's fucking hard. I know it hurts. Personally, I cried myself to sleep. I looked at the phone for hours. I didn't sleep. And the next day it was like, what is going on? I'd ask myself, what is going on with my life? Am I losing control? What is going on? It's all part of the process, bro. You're going to be all right. You just come back stronger, you come back better, and you come back with the basic knowledge of what it takes to come out to the other side. It takes strength. You ain't doing it alone. Look up to the sky and ask, I need strength, Lord. He'll give it to you. I need to find myself. I need to be able to get through this. How do I get through this? No drugs, no going out, no distractions. That shit's only going to make it worse. It's only going to prolong the process. It's only going to prolong the journey. All right? Go get it. I understand this is hard. I just wanted to, maybe this helps out somebody out there in the world to make you understand that you are given an opportunity, even though it is the most difficult and painful experience. I know it is. All right? Go get it.